No more fun.
I hear you take a deep breath. I'll go, now Don.
What Bob said. Eyes and ears open, mouth shut.
Public hearing before you're in the. Either way. Yeah. All right. It's 5:29. I don't know how many seconds. But. It's 5:30. So we'll open our meeting for the public hearing on the comprehensive plan. If anybody in the public has any comments about the comprehensive plan, it was online, it was available in hard copy at Branningham Station, in the library, and here in the town hall outside Tom's office. The group, which is represented by several people back here, led by John, did a lot of work. We got a good amount of public input. Took a little while to get it started, but we got it.
Yeah.
I appreciate people's input.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we wouldn't have a clue what they want.
Correct.
Nobody has anything to say. We'll keep the public hearing open for a little bit, and then we'll move on to the rest of our meeting. And if more people show up, we'll go back to that. All right. So let's do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tom.
Here.
Harry.
Here.
Ian. Here. I'm here. Tom's here. Tom's here.
Yes.
All right, the minutes were out. Any corrections to the minutes from last month? Okay, need a motion to accept.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Board reports.
All right. Good evening, folks. All right, so the data collection project status, we're looking at 17% field review complete. Obviously, the data collection is going to take the back burner until we get all of the file up to the county to close out this roll. So once we get this roll period done, then we're going to go back onto the data collection project. So we're working with several different towns right now, the data collector and myself. So, but this is where we are for the data collection project for Greg in preparation for the revaluation. Okay. Equalization rate, 57%. Exemptions, 192 remains unchanged from last month. And the economic impact of the exemptions is 15 million, just over 15 million. Town parcel count remains unchanged. Total assessed value of the town right now is $249,354,047, and the taxable value is an increase of about 7 million from last year. So I think last year was 234, something like that, 234, 233. But we're looking at 240, 784,990. Changes to the parcel so far, I've done 137 since December. So starting the first of the year, I did 137 changes to parcels, meaning I added homes, other structures onto the roll to add to the add the value of the roll. Okay. The town's tax value increase is an increase of 7,428,822. We have 201 active permits. I just knocked out 10 this afternoon, so that's down by 10 so far. And I got to get those into the computer. The data collector, he didn't have a report for me today, which he said he'll get to me next month, so. But that's what we're looking at for permits. The market value of the permits is $10,704,000. Did a couple meetings with some property owners, mostly regarding STAR, and processed 32 deed transfers, 18 sales as of December. Okay, on the back, on bullet 9, this is my recommendation for increasing the senior citizen exemption income limit from 27,000 or 26,000 to 30,700. Okay, and that'll match the county. And you can see the sliding scale below that. On fiscal impact analysis, that would be an increase of 27 cents for a property owner who has a house that is valued at $100,000. Okay, for homes valued over 500,000, that's $1.20 increase. Okay, and that's based on 2,079 parcels. Okay, so those are the taxable parcels that are in the town. And remember, we have 2,113 total parcels. So that's what that difference would look like. On the next page, I was talking to Bob about this earlier today. I don't think there's a lot of people, especially like on Pine Grove, who know about the senior citizen exemption. So I did put a projected growth and also maximum potential growth as, you know, people coming into the exemption program, and that would be to the right of the annual impact per parcel if we were going to take in more people, okay, or more seniors. I kind of laid everything out there for you, what that
So,
impact would look like.
last month, we had a sheet that showed what each of the different towns, what their limits were for the income tax reduction based on income. And Greg was about the 5th or 6th highest out of the 17 towns in the county. And I think, you know, what is shocking is the fact that only 5 people are taking advantage of the limit right now, set it at the 26,000 something.
Right.
And then your projected growth is just based on the fact that it's only 5 now, and even if you upped it, based on past history, not a ton of people are going to apply.
Correct, right.
But you could see, you estimate up to 50.
Up to 50 based on the 2020 census that I looked at. So
Can you make a recommendation that we advertise better or make a promotion of this, or?
that's one thing you have Facebook, right? There's a board. Is there a digital board here? There isn't a digital board, right?
No.
So if you had something posted
Out in
outside,
the outer lobby, there's a.
out in the lobby,
Right.
but someplace where especially the elderly can take a look at, because honestly, the elderly don't have computers usually, because they come into my office to get set up on certain exemptions, to include STAR. You know, even though the state requires the elderly to enroll or verify their income online, many of them don't have computers, so they come into the office to get assistance with that. So I think if there's something visually outside, it would
A lot of them don't file taxes at that level.
right, yeah. Any questions, discussion? If there's anything more you would like to see, some statistics or, regarding assessments or just general questions like we had talked about, Bob and I talked about the SW fund, is it SW fund?
Yeah, the water
Like that, so if there's any statistics you would like for assessments, just let me know and I'll get it to you.
Thank you, Al.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. we'll go to the attorney and then we'll go back to public hearing.
I don't have any update on the legal cases, except we need to reach out to Judge Regis to get a new court date for Zelinski, because we haven't, when we last appeared, and I think Mr. Zelinski was still out of state.
I saw he had set a date for like May the 10th.
Did he? Maybe he did. I was just looking through my emails. That might be correct.
Whatever that Tuesday is, I think, before our meeting.
Okay. 12th, is that?
Well, it could be.
Yeah, okay. We do, yeah, you're right. We do it appearance on the 12th, so that's the only update on that. Did you want to discuss outside council, or you want to save that later?
Well, there was one thing that I wanted to talk about with respect to outside counsel for advising the planning board, zoning board, and the committee that's going to be working on the update to the zoning law, right? We've got a couple of candidates identified. What do I say? What do I ask? That's kind of how it's given me pause, like pick up the phone and what do I say, right? So I could use some coaching on that.
Sure.
It doesn't have to be at this meeting, but sometime soon, so
Yeah, or even if you want me in on the calls, I'd be happy to
Okay.
do that, yeah.
that would be good. Yeah.
Okay, in the recent document that you forwarded to us, it says in there that the planning board decides by themselves who their legal advisor should be. Is that true?
So the town board holds the purse strings, that's the thing, so,
It
Yeah.
said that the town board can say how much money they can pay the
Right.
person,
yeah.
but they have the right to
They have
choose
the
the
right to
person.
hire their own.
Yeah.
Yeah, generally, the planning board's council is independent of the town board, because they, like I discussed at the last meeting, they might not necessarily have the same objectives. So in general, the best practice is for a planning board, if they need an attorney, to not use the town attorney.
Have you seen that in many?
I think I've even seen like comptroller opinions where they highly discourage it, that it's a potential conflict of interest for the lawyer.
Sure. Yeah, well, I can't speak for the planning board and the zoning board, obviously, but I certainly know we want to have, the town wants to have a land use lawyer, working on the zoning law update committee to review what they're doing. So I don't know why they couldn't be the same person.
Would that be the zoning or planning board? Because the zoning, typically, they'll use the same attorney as
Well,
the.
so the committee's gonna have, by law, a planning board member on it or two, and then it's gonna have a zoning board member on it,
Mhm.
and then we're gonna have the public
Yep.
on
Okay.
it. So it's, they're gonna make the recommendations to the update to the zoning law. But it'll be, so it's not the planning board per se, it's a
Right.
committee that the town board forms, so just like we did with the comprehensive plan. Okay.
I do see we had discussed STR on here and then the IMA with Lewis County. Do you want to talk about those now or later?
So they fixed that up based on your comments.
The IMA you're talking about? Okay.
So that's the, right now Lewis County Planning Board administers the comprehensive plan grant for us. So they put together all the monthly status reports and submit them to the state. They submit for reimbursement for all the expenses. So we don't have to do that because we're just not familiar with that process, and they do it. And in the comprehensive plan, they offered that service as an offset. Originally we had to have some matching funds, but we ended up not because we came under the budget. This time for this grant for the zoning law update, they want to charge, and the DEC has no problem with that. And they want to charge up to $15,000 or 15% of the cost of the contract, up to whichever is less. So their expenses have been minimal, like $800 a month, and I see them when they get submitted to the state. So it's well worth having their expertise handle that administrative stuff. So that's what this IMA is about, just agreeing that the county can do that and they can charge a contract for those hours. Well, since we're there, we might as well. So does anybody have any comment about that? Is everybody all right with me signing the IMA with the county to have them support us?
Who actually mails the checks? Does the town mail the checks or does the county mail the checks to?
We pay, and then when the check is cashed, we get a copy of the check that was cashed. I send it to Lauren. Lauren fills out the paperwork, includes the copy of the cash check. Then the state directly reimburses us.
And then the board sees that
Yeah, like today, you'll see 2 invoices from the bank.
because we got in trouble on that other grant a long time ago.
Oh.
The board wasn't approving. I just want to make sure.
Oh, no, they'd see all the, and I don't know how, I think the county would also submit their expenses to us as well for approval. But I know that we haven't had to do that with this grant. So I need a resolution to allow me to sign the IMA with the counties to support us on the zoning law grant from the DEC.
However you want to word that.
We have-
Need a motion to do
We're
that.
making a motion, make the resolution. So you're making the motion.
Yes.
Second.
I'll second.
Come up with the wording again.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
You don't have to do the wherewithals.
Just as long as it was exactly what you said, you know.
So there's some legal stuff I want to go to, suggest we go into executive session for, but we won't do that now. Because we have all these people here and I hate for them to have to step out when we have that discussion, so we'll table that. Okay. So it's 5:46. If anybody else is going to come to the public hearing, they'd be here by now. Any comments from the public on the comprehensive plan? Anybody opposed to us approving? Okay. All right. All right, seeing that there are no comments, then I'm gonna close the public hearing. Do I need a motion?
No.
No, just
Yeah,
gavel it.
You gavel it close.
Gavel and it closed. All right. So let's jump down to that. So I need a resolution for the town to approve the comprehensive plan.
Well, why don't you, could you do the secret first?
So the county had to review the comprehensive plan. So I had to do the environmental assessment form as part of the application to the county. I've already done that. They had no problems with that environmental assessment form. They sent us back their comments. There was several pages of comments. I think I forwarded to the board. The conditions we had to address or override with a supermajority of the board. And John addressed all their comments. Most of them were really formatting and those type of corrections. Page numbering is incorrect labeling of the appendix, missing a number, number something to make it easy to follow. And then a couple of corrections about our references to Singing Waters. And then the comprehensive plan had in it that, we should work toward getting better signage on trails for snowmobiles and hiking trails and ATV. And they objected to that a little bit because the town doesn't own any of those trails. So exactly what do we, how responsible can we be? But that doesn't mean the town can't work with those entities that do own the trails and try to put a little pressure on them to increase the signage, right? And so that's how we took that input from the comprehensive plan, do what the town can do to help improve that. So, and they understood that. Then they had the non-binding notes, make sure you file this with the Department of State if you pass it. Then some suggestions that seem to me to be more related to, or when you go to update your zoning law, consider these things, rather than comments strictly on the plan itself. So all in all, they, again, very thorough review by the county, catching all these, small mistakes that we made. And John very quickly turned the edits around so we could get the document out to the public 15 days ahead of time, minimum. So that was good. All right, so I need a resolution to adopt the seeker or approve the seeker.
Motion to make a resolution.
Right there. Motion to make a resolution to adopt the seeker that's prepared for the comprehensive plan.
So move.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, resolution to accept the Town of Gray comprehensive plan.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Okay, good. I want to again thank the members of the committee that worked on it and spent a bunch of time, and it's very important that we get the public on these committees helping to guide us, because we have one view and they have a different view sometimes. So,
And there's a lot of stuff.
yeah, there's a lot to work through. Okay. Next on the agenda is, so we talked about that policy for reimbursing homeowners for any damage our people caused, even though we aren't necessarily required to do so. And I did update the policy. Where am I? So the essence of the policy is that we'll reimburse a resident at the discretion of the town board. Thank you, Alan. Up to $1,000 or the resident's deductible on their insurance, whether they submit or not. Right? If they don't want to submit because they think their rates will go up, that's on them. But we're not going to. We'll pay for that deductible even if they don't. And then obviously we're never going to reimburse for more than what the expense is, and they have to provide proof that the repair was made and what the cost of the repair was. We won't, under any circumstances, pay for any damage to any item within the road line or road right of way, except for mailboxes. Our standard practice is whatever the least expensive post office approved mailbox is what we'll reimburse for. Go crazy, but that's what we'll reimburse for, and then we have to be notified within 15 days of occurrence of the incident. And at the discretion of the town board, this period may be extended. So again, for those who don't know, the town is not responsible. Like, we had an incident where the plow grazed the side of a garage. By law, the town is not responsible for that repair, but we feel that we should do something. And so we put together a policy to guide us for future events, should they unfortunately occur. So, any comments on the policy? We've had several goes at it.
Right.
Okay. Can I have a motion to adopt the policy for town reimbursement for damage to private property?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is approved. Okay, last month we talked about creating a reserve fund for matching grants. So you see a grant come up, it's a great grant for the town, but it has a matching requirement. Well, at the time we put the budget together 6 months earlier, we didn't know about the grant, we didn't know about the matching requirement. Where are we going to find the money to fund the match? So the idea here is to establish a reserve fund where we can put some money aside so that we feel free to be able to go after grants that are appropriate and not have to worry about whether we've got the matching funds available, because we'll have them in the reserve fund. So what we didn't do was actually pass a resolution to create it and fund it to the $20,000 level that we discussed at the meeting. So,
And did we talk about how we were gonna move the money around to get that 20,000 in there?
so there is money, I call it carryover money, money that we did not expend last year that we can put into that fund. So, so I need a motion to create the, let's see, what would be the right title? Do you have
Create a reserve fund.
to create a reserve fund for the emergency fund?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Now I need a motion to fund the, that reserve fund to the tune of $20,000 from unreserved funds.
And what's the plan for future? Are we gonna continue to add to that each year then?
You know, the biggest grant that I put together so far is that $180,000 or so one. Could we go bigger than that? We absolutely could. You know, it's up to us as we, you know, as we
So
see
that 180,000, how much would have been our portion?
18
So that would have eaten up most of it.
of that.
So then in the future, we'd be looking to contribute to it again then.
So as we expend, we need to put it back in.
So
So we're just gonna try to maintain it at 20,000?
Yeah, I don't know what the exact right number would be,
Right, but
right? But I do know that, look, you know, if we get this grant, we possibly could need $18,000. We have it. So I'm just putting 20,000 because to start us for the next grant. And as you know, I've applied for, you know, another grant to cover that $18,000.
So
We don't have to put anything out.
at this point, you don't see a need to have a figure in there for future to, and maybe that wouldn't be determined until we use it?
I definitely think, like the other reserve funds, that having a goal number in there is appropriate for us to define. I just can't put my finger on it right now as to what that number should be. You know, I know for the maintenance fund for the town buildings, we talked about 35 to 40,000 would make it kind of self-sustaining because the big expenses would occur every 20 years or so with replacing the heating plant or replacing the roof.
But we're adding to that on a regular basis.
Well, we're adding the interest, you know, the 3% a year on the, whatever we got right now.
So we would do
$50,000.
the same thing with this then?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. But whether it should be 40,000 is what, I don't know what that number is. I know for the highway equipment replacement fund, it can't be big enough, right? I mean, it just, whatever spare money we can put into there, we need to put in there, so. They're not, there's, plows aren't getting cheaper, so. Did we vote? We voted.
No motion.
Okay, so I need a motion to fund that. Reserve fund,
Motion to fund the reserve fund for
20K.
matching for grants.
yeah, I'll second that.
All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. So we submitted to T-Mobile a grant application to fund the gazebo, the wayfinding kiosk that was requested in the comprehensive plan. That was also part of the plan for the playground grant. So, and the way we had written up the playground grant application, the town, as part of its 10% match, would fund that kiosk. So the application to T-Mobile was to have them fund a wayfinding kiosk. And I did not get a quote from, an updated quote from a builder in time. So I used an off-the-shelf gazebo around $18,000 by the time you put the benches in it and whatnot. So I think that we're talking about an early June notification on that.
On the T-Mobile or?
on the T-Mobile and also on the playground.
Both of them.
Yeah. But I will warn you that I'm gonna need help, because I can't manage the zoning law update project. And if we win, when we win, the playground grants, that as well, and carry on the standard stuff that has to happen here.
Yeah, if that playground grant comes in, that's gonna be quite a bit of work to keep track of.
So there's another grant. Carol Kunkel brought this up after watching the program. She said, why don't we put in some exercise equipment for senior mobility? Apparently, it wasn't 60 Minutes, but it was some weekend news show, right? And there are any number of pieces of equipment designed for senior mobility. You know, whether it's a bicycle thing, whether it's something for balance. And the Iroquois Gas Grant closes May the 1st. So what I would like the board's permission to do is to make an application to the Iroquois, put in an application there to purchase equipment designed more for senior exercise. And it would be something that we would start with the $5,000 limit or $10,000. And these things cost like $1,500 each, so you're not buying many at a time. But we'd have a plan as part of the upgrade to the park, where, you know, how much of that we want to have. And then the idea was that once we've got a sufficient number of pieces, that perhaps we get somebody from Second Chance, right? Because they do a senior exercise program, or you get a physical therapist to maybe conduct a program, you know, every couple of weeks there, where a group of seniors could go and get instruction on how to use the equipment.
Double play.
Double play, that's it, double play, yeah.
So this is outside equipment?
It's outside equipment, yeah. Yeah. What we have to offer at the
The
park.
whole age range.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's handicap accessible, you know, so. Anyway, so I'd like the board's approval to apply for the Iroquois gas grant for the senior mobility equipment to be placed at the park.
Yeah. Is there a match for that or?
Nope.
Go for
I'll take that as a motion.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like,
Well, you
is that
said
a
you wanted
motion,
permission,
or-
you didn't say motion.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
That's a grant that Maryland got earlier on. It's a $10,000 grant. She put in the equipment.
Get that other
And most recently,
The equipment that Steve put in, you mean,
Steve finished putting it.
6 years later.
It's in.
Everybody's welcome to stay. Sean's got to drive back to Syracuse. John, of course, is our consultant on the comprehensive plan. I know we've closed the public hearing, but I want to give him the opportunity to speak any last thoughts that somebody may have or questions they may have. And then, while it's still light, you can head out.
Wow, great. Good. Thanks, Bob, I appreciate it. Yeah, no, and I guess the story doesn't end, and here now it's time for implementation. And I know first thing coming up is the zoning rewrite with some priorities for that. But if you have any questions or need anything fine tuned down the road, like a page number or whatever, let me know. But yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, John, for
Thank you.
all your work.
Thank you for your time.
We have another guest speaker, Sean. Talk to us about the darn dam.
So we went up there today and looked at everything. The water level is too high to safely install this structure right now. And we decided that it'd be better off to wait until fall to install it. Because there's already people complaining that the lake level is too low. So instead of going through that whole thing all summer long, we determined that the structure that's up there now will make it through the summer. We have all the material for the structure itself. The way it was engineered, we did figure out today there was a flaw in the drawings. The structure is 5 inches too short. So I got with the engineers today. They realized that the measurement was wrong. They redesigned the box, pretty much added the 5 inches to it. We just need to get 2 pieces of stainless. Weld those onto the box. That'll make up the 5-inch difference. And the gate that's on the existing box is pretty disrepair. So we drew up and designed a new stainless gate. Everything will be all out of stainless. So the 2 new pieces to add to the box and the whole brand new gate system would be an extra $3,000 on top of the existing. And then the whole structure will be brand new.
One thing that was I learned was that the gate itself was partially made out of plywood.
Yeah, the slide gate itself is got a short steel piece, and then it's 2 pieces of plywood sandwiched together. When we looked at that this winter, when Rudy has suggested about using the existing gate, I couldn't get out there and see it. You know, you could just see the top of it. $17,000 for a gate from Way Company was a lot of money. So he suggested using the old gate. I said, yeah, as long as it's good, we could use the old gate. 2 weeks ago when I went up to start this, realized the gate was not really good shape. And to spend the money you're going to spend on this, down the road a little bit, you're going to end up doing something with that gate. So now would be the time to do it. We can build it, put everything together all as ones. Then we decided in October, when it's time to release the water, we pull the gate and everything out, drop the water level down to a safe level. We could remove that old structure, get the new one set in. And that way, if we run into something where the concrete, you know, may have an issue underneath or anything, you know, we're not trying to scramble to get this in installed and so the lake can fill up, because I'm sure you guys probably don't like to hear the lake levels and everybody.
Well, I don't like to hear it, but that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lake.
Yeah.
But I agree with what you're saying about
There's
doing
14
the
inches.
fall.
We measured it today. The water is 14 inches higher than where we need to work.
Is it just runoff that's,
It's
At this
runoff. Yeah, it's runoff, snow melt. I mean, ideally, the springtime is probably one of the worst times to do this. So, you know, in the fall, we can not only drain it down, but we're not under any rush
no pressure?
other than weather, you know, snow. But
Yeah.
we figured if we pulled the structure out on a Monday, on a Wednesday, we could put the new structure in, have everything done, and then from there, you guys can start regulating when you want to regulate.
So one of the things we'll have to make sure everybody put out notice as best we can. We might say start dropping the lake October the 1st instead of Columbus Day. And then the other thing is we will be dropping it lower than it normally drops. That will affect the lily pond mainly because the channel between the lake and the lily pond only has 6 inches of water in it anyway, what's the normal level. And we're going to be taking it down about, you said, a foot, 14 inches.
Yeah, and we're hoping when we get up there, it's gonna be quick. You know, we might even pull that structure out and realize we can pull it out and put the new one in the same day. There's just enough of an if right now that once that old structure's out, it's out. And then if there is something there that has to be addressed or repaired or something, we don't wanna, I hope there isn't, because it's pretty much straightforward, but it's just taking that chance. And then, you know, I've already seen some posts on Facebook where people are already saying the lake is lower than it should be. So,
Well, actually, the lake, the ice doesn't traditionally go out, you don't really you don't really expect it to go out before the 15th of April anyway. And sometimes it goes a little earlier,
And
but
that's kind of what I was kind of planning on too, and then when he had sent me an email the other day that the ice had already went out and,
Yeah.
you know, they were kind of wanting to get after it to shut the gate, and, you know, we had went up and the water was high, so then I went up again the other day and the water was still fairly high. It was just, I don't want to incur any more costs.
Yeah.
So the best thing would be, and that, I had that in my quote that, you know, if we had to do it in high water, you know, that we'd have to figure something out. And I don't want to have to do that. So, but the only thing now that would be, you know, over the original quote I gave you was constructing a new gate and a new slide and all that. And that, with the new pieces to bring the box up to the height it needs to be.
Yeah.
Would be that $3,000.
so the part that we're actually reusing is the operator then, right?
Yes, that's what
Okay.
we're using. Yep. So we're building a new, everything's gonna be new. The gate itself's gonna be stainless. It's gonna have poly sliders in the end. Pretty much we were able to almost copy what the gate we were gonna purchase would be with
For a lot less money.
a lot less money, you know, and Brandon at Jones Machine he designed all that up, and it actually kind of shocked me when he put that number out there. And we had some money in the original quote figuring we might have to do something to brace up the old gate. So with that money and with the 3,000 extra, it would cover everything to redo that gate. So he started construction on the box Monday. So the plan is pretty much to get the box built, you know, try to get the gate and everything but the control structure, that threaded turn structure, everything built and ready to go. And then when that's done, if you guys want to take a look at it or whatever, we'll have it ready to go. And then as soon as we're able to start, we'll have to remove the lift structure off the old gate, mount it to the new one, and then everything will be set as one piece. So.
I think it's a responsible plan.
Yeah, I always felt I was up there this morning with Bob, and I always felt fall was a way better time. And Scott and I both agree that temporary plywood fix shouldn't be any problem lasting through another season.
Yeah.
It hasn't been changed at all since it was put in last year. Hasn't moved. I mean, that plywood's gonna last a long time, so I don't see any issues with running that box the way it is.
Yeah.
So Sean, if you'd please send me a change. Oh, yes, sir.
Is there provisions for record plans for this, once this repair is done?
For what?
Record plans. What you did.
Oh, yeah.
What you used.
There'll be a complete as-built done afterwards.
Right, picture and bill, same thing.
Yep.
Change order. Send that in. if you would. Appreciate you taking the time this morning and coming in here.
Yeah, no problem.
I rode my bike down there the other day and looked at the amount of water. I said, "Oh, this don't look good."
Well, and Scott pointed out that, by now he'd normally be raising the water. So if they got in, like say even for a couple of weeks over what was planned, and then say it doesn't rain for a month after that,
Oh, yeah, that's not gonna be good.
then the water won't be coming back up the way it normally would. So,
Yeah, I understand it, but along that line, the ice could stay until the 1st of May too, in which case he wouldn't have started raising the water level anyway. So.
Exactly. But either way, fall's better.
Yeah, I agree. I used to work on boathouses and docks, and anytime that I planned on doing one in the spring, I usually got in trouble. But the fall of the year, when it's lowered down, wait until November or something, then I knew I wasn't gonna get in trouble. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I just have a question on the wreckage. You're putting asphalt someplace, did you say?
Am I putting asphalt?
And I just heard the word asphalt. I was wondering where that.
Oh, no, as-built.
As-built.
Yeah, so when
You say I
everything's
don't want
done.
any asphalt there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good, thank you.
You missed that part, you're kind of.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to have to buy asphalt this year.
Okay, next on the agenda was possible changes to the pilot law. And so right now in our zoning law, we have a requirement for anybody that puts in a renewable energy system to enter into a pilot agreement, payment in lieu of taxes with the town. And the state law for solar and wind says 15 years. But as Jim has pointed out, some of these battery systems are now lasting, potentially longer than 15 years.
There's a report from NYSERDA that says 15, the contract, NYSERDA and the applicant, 15 years for lithium. 25-year maximum contract on lithium battery energy storage projects. Zinc's got to fall in that category.
Right.
Now, so one of the proposals I found for both a pilot and a host community agreement was for Rotterdam. The applicant was Zenobi America, I might be pronouncing that wrong, was proposing to Rotterdam a 15-year total, 3.5 million. In 20 years, these are with 2% escalators. 20 years, that number grows to 4.9. So that's an extra 1.4 million. It's a significant chunk of change. So I know it says it in the New York real property tax law 487, 15 years, and NYSERDA references 15 years. But that's all based on lithium. With these zinc batteries that, whatever you get off the internet's slanted, agenda driven, what have you. I would suggest just a simple verbiage change in the town's pilot law for the duration of the project.
Yeah, as long as
Of the site,
as long as it's
including,
online. Yeah, or as long as it's not decommissioned for something like that.
yes, just, don't lock us in. I wouldn't want us to lock us in for 15 years when the only tangible benefit to the town that I can see, it is this money. We'd miss out on potentially 1.4, 1.5 or more, just for changing.
Technology, yeah.
Well, I mean, just for the sake of changing a dozen words
Yeah.
in the law.
I'm definitely, 15 years was based on a certain technology, and technology changes, so.
It could change by the time they actually go to do it.
Right. Now, it did say in the law that once the pilot expires, they're still subject to regular property taxes at that point. So it's not like you wouldn't get anything from that site, but it wouldn't be the same as a pilot, and they could take it to court and say it's too high, we're not paying it, and drag it all up. So, I certainly support what you're saying. And I also think that, and I think the zoning update committee will do this, but we should add in that it's both a pilot and a host community agreement. That seems to be where things are going, is to have both. So the host community agreement, you can get them, the obvious thing would be, the fire department needs this X thing to combat whatever might happen at the site. They have to buy the X thing as part of the host community agreement. Or it could be something like, you have to rehabilitate our park, just because. And then, by the way, you still have these payments in lieu of taxes. So there's
a lot more flexibility with the host community agreements. Because if it's pilot money, it's treated as general revenue. You
Right.
have to use it for town purposes. You can't use it for the fire department. You can't use it for, like things outside of the town's operations.
and the host community agreement is all about the town, whereas the pilot is also the other taxing
Right.
jurisdictions.
Cool, yeah.
So reverting back to that one for Rotterdam, with the host community agreement, 95% goes to the town. Again, this is just their example.
Yeah.
And then they've got, the remainder goes to the fire department, whereas the pilot is, just like you said, split between the town. Biggest portion goes to the school district, then the county, then the town. Again, this is their example, but that's, why I put that in.
That's the way pilot agreements work.
That's
the way pilot agreements work.
right. So I definitely think, changes need to be made. We have a moratorium for anything renewable energy. We could certainly make a change to it now, or do we wait until we update the zoning law as part of this, so that the committee can decide what they want in that host community agreement, although they may not have to specify exactly what I don't know what you would, I would just say you need to enter into a host community agreement. So I mean, do you see a risk in waiting to do it as part of the update?
No.
Okay.
And do you see any
No,
risk?
I don't. Not with the moratorium. When we did the pilot law, it was a bit of a rush job because we didn't want something coming in. We wanted to make sure if they did, they'd do a pilot. But I would say we're fine waiting.
Yeah, it was really Alan, I'm sorry, was the one that clued me in. He said, those 3 solar plants up in Jefferson County, they're not getting $1 out of them because they've got regular property taxes, and they're all in court fighting the property taxes.
Yeah.
Where if you have a pilot, they sign the agreement, they can't take it to court. So that's why we quickly did the pilot.
A little bit of a sideline, but how does that work with property taxes if it's leased property? Is that just part of their agreement with the property owners that they pay the taxes?
Usually the lease will state that, first of all, that the developer is responsible for any increase to the tax, to the real property taxes, whether there's a pilot or not. So if the pilot gets thrown out, it's a backstop that the property taxes, which will go up, will be the developer's responsibility. I've seen it where they'll actually get a separate tax ID number assigned for the actual facility sitting on the land, just as a way of protecting them further. So, but yeah, that's something negotiated between the landowner and the developer.
If this landowner
Okay,
knew
that,
that information before he signed in.
right, because that actually can swallow up all of your rent. It's just you think about how much money they spend theoretically on these pilots. Yeah. The other thing too to consider, the Lewis County Development Corporation right now is developing a possible program by which they would help to administer host community agreements. So if that's something you'd want to utilize in the future to have them help out figuring out where the money should go, that'd be another reason to wait because they're still working on that.
One other thing while we're still talking about pilot, to go against what my grandparents and parents taught me about counting your chickens before they're hatched. If this gets forced on us and we do a pilot, has there been any thought about where to allocate that money?
I have not given it a lot of thought. My first reaction is to reduce the tax rate.
Well, I remember it was November, or December, the number was thrown out 30%.
I
I
think
don't
that's
know how that can be predicted. But
that won't be the town's share, let's put it that way.
speaking only for myself, and only for myself, I'd rather see none, reduction.
Okay.
Now, what was the grant for that comprehensive plan? 56? Right.
Well, it's 58,000, I'm sorry.
Part of that said, part of the plan would be to review the town's capital improvement plan and adhere to that and update it. I assume that's this 2023 Town of Gregg long-term planning. When this was done, I kind of wish Mike was here not to attack him, but just to relate him. When this was done, 15 of the 27 pieces of major highway equipment, 56% were beyond their optimal useful life. Now, I know you've got, what, 2.5 year, you've been waiting for 2 trucks?
Right, we have 2 trucks on order, June of 2024 and December of 2024.
Again, I won't presume to speak for anybody else but me. I would rather see these pilot funds for the town get into 3 dedicated funds. We've already talked about one tonight. Keep the tax rates flat or minimal raises. I mean, you're gonna have increases, union wages, fuel, etc. That's the world we live in. Second one would be to help out with equipment and even getting with our neighboring towns and looking at contributing to a shared equipment. You know, you've got, I know what was it last year? They were waiting for rollers to do the shoulders on the roads.
Right.
You know, you got a hazard, you got a liability there. And the third thing would be for infrastructure repairs. Like the dam. If Fort Mike could ever get a consensus, Parkinsville Road. I don't know if you could ever get a consensus on what to do with that. But, well, it's a hot Facebook topic. Like I said, this is just me speaking. Now, for myself, if this vest gets forced on us in 2030, just using their 15-year lifespan, that's 2045. That's 20 years from now. If I'm selfish, I'll take that 30%, rebate on my taxes and buy new clubs every other year and replace the golf balls I lose all the time on hole number 2. But if you want to do for the town, like we're all here for, I think we should set this kind of money aside. Think about it. Something, playground equipment, stuff like that. Instead, if you gave a 30% tax rebate 15 years, what happens in year 60?
Right. Yeah, good point.
Again, at my age, I'll be gone, or I won't know the difference anyway. How do I care? So that's just my spiel. That's just my opinion. We ought to, nothing firm, nothing concrete. We ought to think of.
Let's hope we never have to address it.
Yeah.
Hopefully we don't, but use the money for beneficial.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I don't think that and that, I understand that's your opinion, and I think that opinion's around other than you, but we haven't even gotten near that point, that we're starting to project where this can, if it happens, where it can best be spent.
What? When's the moratorium out, Bob? January or February?
January.
So I would think, I'm sure you've all tried to navigate NYSERDA's website, what have you. No idea where their EIP's approval is. Their contract is supposed to be the end of the second quarter, which would be June.
They were supposed to have announced by 1
Right.
April.
If our moratorium ends in January, I don't see why we wouldn't be getting hit with applications in January, February.
Well, I agree. Yes, Dan.
Can we do an extension on the moratorium for another year?
So, if we're making progress in the zoning law update, I believe that the state would allow us to do an extension on the moratorium. And I fully expect that we will make progress on that. The only thing that causes me concern is we had a 1-year moratorium previously. Now we've enacted a second 1-year one. At what point do they tell us you're just putting moratoriums on, you're done? But I would have no trouble going for an additional 6 months with the justification that we're just about done with the zoning law update. And see what could happen. They say no, and then, we're no worse off than if we didn't.
Was the first one a year, Bob, or was the first one 6 months?
It was 6 months and we extended another 6 months.
Oh, okay.
You got a question for
And when the windmills went in, I know the town of Martinsburg was forbidden to lower property taxes with the windmill pilot money. Isn't that the case with pilot money?
It is for school districts. I don't think it is for towns, and I don't know if there was something
Martinsburg couldn't lower
specific.
their taxes.
I don't know if that was because it was like Empire State Development. It was a completely different plan when that went in. It wasn't anything like what we're doing now, like with Article 10 review. So I don't know. I know at least
I
with
fully
school
believe
district.
that
Yeah.
You're forbidden to lower your property taxes with a pilot.
Okay. Yeah.
And what they didn't increase them so that they could build a new town barn.
Yeah. Well, they're
No,
also
they can
sitting.
do that.
They sit on a humongous fund balance too. They never. Same with Harrisburg. They haven't used their money,
Right. You
which
can't,
is
you can't reduce taxes.
This is a hybrid, right? You get one-shot revenues, you should use it for one-shot expenses, right? and not ongoing, like maintenance of a town road, maintenance of a building. 15, 20 years, is that a one shot or, it's sort of in between the two. But I definitely see the benefit of keeping everything flat, right? And using that money for the big one-off expenses. We're gonna bond those trucks, they're $300,000. Would be nice not to have to bond them, or save us some, right now, probably 5% interest.
You can cover the town share for the Eatonville Bridge.
Yeah.
Any other, I think there's some culverts that are due to be replaced on Fish Creek Road.
And that, yeah, we've got a fund for that, but it doesn't have enough money in it. So, yeah.
In essence, you're lowering the taxes that way.
Right.
If you're not increasing.
Get around it.
Yeah. Okay, speaking of the zoning law grant, we went out with an RFP. It got publicized on New York Contract Reporter and Lauren at the county, went out on a couple of different places. You have to have a certain amount of small disadvantaged, veteran-owned, women-owned, minority-owned contribution in the contract. So there are certain firms, there's a list of firms that fit into that category that may be interested in bidding on that. She reached out to them. So the proposals are due back May 1st. It's a Friday. And then we're going to do a best value. It's not lowest bidder, it'll be best value. And hopefully there won't be a lot of questions, but that first week in May we'll be very busy and hopefully evaluating proposals. And then my goal is to award the contract at our meeting on May the 13th, so we can get this thing off and running.
I thought you had to have a bid opening in public.
We can certainly do that, but we're going by best value, it's not lowest.
Well, then, but you have to open the bids in public and then.
Can we do the bid opening in the meeting? Or you're saying before you evaluate, we have to have a bid opening? I got you.
But I mean, we did that the last.
So we just have a quick meeting, we
Right,
come in and
exactly.
open and.
I had one email from somebody saying they were very interested. They copied myself and Lauren. It sounded like an exciting opportunity for their company. So it sounded like Abella was going to bid again. So at least 2 bids, which is what you kind of want, some kind of competition.
3 probably.
Comment on that? I looked through some of the bans the other municipalities have. A few were banning the best structures, or facilities rather. How they word it. Until safety technology catches up, which initially sounds like a good idea, but that's kind of arbitrary. I'm sure, EIP's definition of allowable safety risk is a little bit different than what Town of Gray residence is. And especially because, there's 3 proposed zinc facilities in New York.
There are 3 proposed non-lithium facilities.
Okay. So if you were on that NYSERDA meeting last week, 2 weeks ago,
A couple of weeks ago, time
you
flies.
can see the gentleman, I'm not even gonna try pronouncing his name.
The one you could understand?
Yes.
He was really touting sodium ion batteries, but they won't be competitive for a few years. And he didn't spend much time on zinc. And it's kind of discouraging with the zinc batteries because there's not enough data on whether they're safer as claims go or not. They're safe here, but because there's no data.
Right.
And I'm concerned that since that's what's proposed up here, there may be more state pressure to get that force being put in. So to get what you were saying last meeting, Don, how can we look at both approaches, banning and having beefed up
At
zoning?
the same time.
this firm that wherever we use the grant money at, is that gonna? Don, I could be dead ass wrong. All right, we're gonna put a ban in. All right, this gets overridden. We've got this right here, beefed up as much as we can, zoning laws, swap them out, take a month, you know, to go through the process, public hearing, that kind of stuff.
Right.
Instead of, well, this is thrown out from ORES or Coaga, now we've got to start all over. Well, we've got this $125,000 grant and LaBelle or whoever. Just to me, I could, maybe I misunderstand the whole system. But develop them both, or at least the bare bones, the structure for the zoning law with the $300 million general liability, this, that, all that stuff ready to swap out.
Well, I mean, that's always been my thought process too, was to have both of those.
Yeah.
And then, you know, there's that separability clause that's in all of these things that say, if, you know, the courts find one part of this that's not right, all the rest of it still applies.
Good.
So, but, you know, I'm one person, and the committee will make those decisions, right? But seems to me, and if the lawyer, when he reviews it, says you can't do it, but Ian seems to believe you can do it. So I don't see why you don't do it. You know, and I don't know why these other towns, I got the one from Dwaynesburg, they wrote one up. And it was, I don't know how you defend it in court, if anybody took them to court over it. You know, we're concerned about the safety of our people. That's it. Oh, okay.
Just like a lot of the towns that have written vest laws are right out of the NYSERDA book. These bans are getting similar verbiage. They're copying and copying.
Yeah. This one was like, just, you know, no detail as to why
Yes.
they were concerned for the safety of their people.
And like I said, what I found is the applicants are not fighting these in court. They're getting the state to do it.
Yeah, it's better use of their time and money to
Right.
handle it that way, yeah.
Do you think maybe they left it general on purpose? So it gave them more time to come up with just for example, like 5 different avenues that they could throw their cards in?
I don't know, you know, talking with the guy from Dwaynesburg made it sound like our lawyer reviewed this, he thought it was good to go, they're done.
Okay.
Like, really? I mean, you didn't even say because we're volunteer fire or, you know, and they've got other jobs to do, they can't be there to put out fires for 2 weeks, and, you know, that we're a close-knit community and we have no water. I mean, nothing that would explain why you were concerned for the safety, you know? So that just seemed weak to me, but until it's challenged in court, it's just fine.
Carry their 1 or 2 pages. That's it.
Well, we were just taught when we were like going to arbitration and stuff like that, sometimes going into the arbitration, keep your stuff very generalized and then provide your details and your arguments later, because that gave you more time to develop your plan and come up with different avenues to fight the arbitration. So I was just wondering if maybe they kept it general on purpose for that exact reason.
It's difficult. So I was reading about a case where a ZBA determination that I think it was a solar project. It was basically, they denied whatever permit they needed because in their words, there was no public benefit to the project. It was like a solar or wind project coming in. That was overturned through Article 78 proceeding then they sued the ZBA, took them before the state Supreme Court. That was overturned because they said that that's an arbitrary and capricious decision, basically saying it's of no benefit. That's just arbitrary and capricious is this idea that you're just doing what you want to do. You're not following any particular law. So that's where you do want specificity when it comes into writing your local laws. If you're going to ban something, give very clear reasons why.
Okay.
That's what they use is, in some cases, public utility. Your parent company's in Spain or something. How are you a public utility here? But that's the argument they use sometimes.
Have you seen any moratoriums get overturned? Because I know you've researched that. I haven't seen any. There's always that threat looming that a moratorium could get overturned. I'm not aware of any in the state that actually have been.
I haven't seen any, but I haven't specifically looked for moratoriums.
It could just be because they're for a short period of time. By the time you get a final decision on it, the moratorium will have expired.
No.
So,
Yeah, delay in court and
right.
Yeah.
But if you have a situation where a town just keeps renewing it, you could get it overturned with an injunction that they can no longer adopt any future moratoriums. So
It's
I'm sure there's always
certainly
working on it.
conceivable.
Yeah.
Okay. The electric, saga. Oh, there it is, it's slow. All right.
Story.
Story time, yeah. That's that. Okay. So there are two things, two parts to this. One, I wanted to look at whether this, the LED retrofit of this building in the Old Town Barn was gonna pay off. So the first thing I did is I looked at January compared to February. In mid-February, the 16th and the 17th, the conversion took place from the CFLs to the LEDs. And I looked at what, let me try to make it bigger. Okay, eventually catch up. So between January and February, the town barn, which there was no retrofit there, it was built with LEDs, right? Its usage dropped 5.4%. All right, so you would expect our building to drop 5.4%, maybe, right? I mean, what else? I don't know how else to compare it. Well, we dropped 14.3% in this building. Okay, so maybe the 9% decrease beyond what the town barn decreased was due to the LEDs, and that was for only half a month. So you would expect maybe the next month it would be 18% because it's a full month on LEDs. So looking at February and March usage, they went up at the town barn 11.5% for some reason. We went down 20%. All right, well, 31.5%, much bigger than 18%. So then I looked at January compared to March, and you get the same thing. They went up 5.5%, and we went down 31.4%. So no real, I mean, I could buy the 18%, I can't buy 35%, but I really don't know. So, I guess I go into, oops, stop. Come on. So then I looked at usage year over year. All right, so this was 2022, 2026, January, all right? So in January of 2026, we were using 17% less energy than in these 2 years. And there's something funny about our electric usage, which I'll show you in a minute. I don't know how this 1108 got in, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I don't know. All right. March, this is our first full time. So here we were partially in February of 2026 on LEDs. So instead of being 17% less, we were 26% less than the same month. These, well, that's 9%. That's the same number we got when I was just looking between January and February of this year. All right, so the 9% for half a month is starting to look about right. I look at March, and we're down to 1773, 39% less energy, 17 from 39 is 22, all right? So it looks like probably we're in that 20% range of savings by having switched to LEDs. In the one comparison, I predicted 18%. When I'm looking at this, we're down 39%, we were down 17, again, compared to these years, 22%. So we're in that 20% ballpark. So my overall conclusion is we're gonna have a payback period of about 4 years, maybe less as prices for electricity go up. that's just, you know, no decision on your part. That's just my analysis to say, was it worthwhile spending the $5,000 to do the retrofit? And National Grid contributed $10,000, so.
There seems to be a really good chance it's gonna pay back faster because the rates are gonna go up.
Right.
The light's better too.
Come on, there you go. So here's the interesting thing. Look at this period here, up until December, we were below 2,000 kilowatt hours. Whether it was winter or summer, air conditioning or heating. Then all of a sudden, we jump up 2,800. And only 1 month did we go reasonably low again. Right? What happened? Why did we have that significant jump in electric usage? No clue. Tom suggested that November, December might have been about the time that the system here was upgraded and more distribution was put in and thermostats were up. I don't know. I can't explain why that happened. But now we're back to these levels with the LED retrofit. It's just weird that we had that
So
big
we
jump.
didn't really gain anything then.
We saved. I mean, I hear what you're saying, but
I mean,
But if we hadn't done it, we'd still be losing.
I know that, but when you take a look at the usage, you have to wonder, wait a minute, is this what's really happening? Maybe it's their smart meters. Maybe they weren't that smart before, and once they put in smart meters, they figured a way to make them spin faster.
but even here, we're seeing a trend toward, a trend toward using less. But again, that's not enough data to really make any decision. Just thought it was interesting. The billing issue. Okay, so as you know, they stopped billing us. Our last bill was May of 2023 for April 2023 usage. And every time I'd interact with them, right, recently to say, let's get this fixed, they keep adding the current month. So it was kind of a moving target as to how much money were we actually talking about. They didn't say, oh, from May of 2023 to October of 2025, let's figure out what you owe us for that. It was like, oh, we're talking in December. Well, the December bill was this, and the number anyway. So between that 2-year period, that 24 months, our electric bill was $16,244 unbilled. They didn't bill that. They gave us credit of $52.26 for this period. So they just said, okay, finally, we're here in March of 2026. We're only going to charge you for the last 24 months. All right. And we're going to forgive anything before that. All right. I don't know why they forgave us for February and March and April of 2023, because we paid those bills. But okay, I'll take your $5,200. That's fine. All right. Then, we had identified that they'd been charging a sales tax since 2012. So $2,500 in sales tax rebate gets applied against what we owe them. And then the sales tax credit from other accounts was transferred in as well. And then, since early on in the discussion with them, they had talked about giving us a 25% rebate or inconvenience rebate because of all the stuff we went through, telling them multiple times that they needed to start billing us and yada, yada. And she said, we're going to do the 25% of the amount we originally had told you. Well, they never really originally told me an amount. But based on that 2-year period from May of 23 to April of 2025, 25% would have been $4,061. All right. So this is what they say we owe them. We started at $16,244. We're down to $2,317. There was one payment in there, which you'll see over here. And oh, by the way, the sales tax that we got from all the accounts was a total of almost $5,100 we got rebated back from National Grid. Now, some of that was used to pay the bills for a couple of months in a row on those individual accounts. and then we transfer the rest to this account. So start out at 16,000, you subtract the 5225 for the months they forgave us, sales tax, transfer sales tax, the 25% inconvenience credit, again, my estimate. Total price would have been 3,300, you made a payment in February, so total owed was 2178, our calculation. They have 2317. Again, since I don't know exactly what they based their 25% inconvenience fee on, tough to argue with them. I've asked them 3 months in a row to give me something that looks like this. They're like, well, we gave you what you owe us, and we told you what our credit was, and anyway. So anyway, close enough for government work, I think, that we're only ending up paying 2317 over 36 months with no interest charged. So it's not really going to be a big hit to the budget when all is said and done. But boy, is that a lot of tums and rollings. We discussed the dam repair project, short-term rental law. So the planning board is getting started on looking at short-term rentals in advance of regulations, in advance of the whole zoning law update. Judy, did you want to say anything about that?
Well, we just started, we have kind of a page of what I call cliff notes. So we know what we have to do when we start. We have to come up with a plan, present it to the boards, present it to the county, we do all of this. But along the way, we'll need a lot of input. So we will start probably at the next board, at least with why we're doing this. Start with the basic plan, and then we'll go through some of the things that we had, and then we'll send it to different boards for help in getting it right.
So the county has suggested, of course, we know we passed that resolution asking the county to help us with updating the STR. And their data suggests that when short-term rentals exceed 5% of your housing stock, it starts to have an impact on the community, whether it's the community feel, whether it's the price of housing. And then Joanne Casey has been helping me do research on different topics, some best stuff. And I asked her about, the county couldn't really put their finger on where they got that 5% number because you did something up. And she came up with the 5%. She uses one of these AI things that her son is familiar with. And then it had something for 10% where you would see significant impact to your community's profile, if you will, right? The feeling of your community of 10% of your housing stock with short-term rentals. And it's all, well, some of this data is from Lake George and some of this is from Lake Placid. And, so bigger places than here, does that mean like the impact is the 2% is going to be a noticeable impact to small towns as opposed to 10%? Maybe so, right? So there are things like restricting the number to a percent of your residential housing stock. We have, I forget, I think I sent you the data today. There's 1,200 residences, is that right? Something like that.
1,200.
12, yeah. And so 5% of that would be 60. According to the data collected for the comprehensive plan, there are 54 short-term rentals in Gregg on VRBO or Airbnb. Now we know there's going to be a bunch beyond that, right? So we're already there at that 5% number for sure. And other things that towns have put in are you have to own your property for 2 or 3 years before you can turn it into a short-term rental. So it keeps people that are just trying to get in that market from being in that market. But there's a lot to it. I mean, registration, the state has registration requirements, so they get their bed tax. The county now has registration requirements, right? Well, they have had. So there's a lot to think about, a lot to do. We will certainly, as we know from when we tried to have this discussion a year and a half ago, we are certainly going to have a room full of people when, we get further along in this discussion, and understandably so. The bottom line is you can't regulate who, you can regulate what. So, as much as we'd like to say, well, people that have already been doing it for 10 years or 20 years, or that's just what they've done so they could afford the property. Tough to write a law that doesn't address the who as opposed to the what. So it's not going to be an easy issue. There are a lot of different templates out there, but it's not going to be easy. But I appreciate the fact that the planning board is looking into it already in preparation for,
zoning change.
yeah,
You said they got the one that Megan had shared
yes.
back in February, okay.
Building security. So Mandy and Tim from Piximation talked about her grant, and he's coming up with a plan that's going to spend every penny of the grant, which we already got the grant for. Unlike every other grant where we had to expend first and then get reimbursed, the Justice Fund just sent the money, and it's already in our bank account. So they're talking about putting a camera outside this door. They're talking about putting a license plate reader, not just the camera, but potentially a license plate reader in the parking lot, probably on the town bar building this way, so you can catch the back license plates. Mandy needs to take this camera because it's court. So I said, well, we paid for that, so you need to pay for one in the library. So we'll have one in the library shooting at the library door, just like we have one out here shooting at the entranceway door. Carrie is more than fine with that. So Tim's been away on vacation, so I don't know any more fine details other than that. But that's the status of that part of the security. The library has decided that they do want that extra push button lock on their door. So the locksmith owes us an install for that anyway. We already own the lock, so he'll do that. They want to give every one of their members their own code, which I tried to convince them to do more like what we did, was give each group a code that they want. So I'll tell them how to do it. We'll let them do it. If that's what they want to do. So he still has that to do. He's called me, he said he'd call me with the time to set it up. And then he still has to do the replacement. We talked 2 out of the 3 locks down at the playground, the park, are keyed one way. The third is a separate key. So why the ladies' bathroom and the storage room have one key and the boys' bathroom has another key? It's just silly. They should all be keyed the same, or the bathroom should be keyed the same, whatever. But one key is what makes sense. And then down at the dam, I purchased a combination lock, like what we have at the dump. Because right now, the only person that has a key is Scott. And with the combination lock, we can give it to the painter to get in there and paint. Doug Hunt is going to paint that. Bobby Baker had scraped it for us, but didn't get around to painting it before things happened. So Doug Hunt is going to paint that for us at a nice price. But anyway, so we can give that code out to him, to the folks, to Sean when he needs to go, and they don't have to have Scott there to open the thing up. And we can change the code whenever we need to change the code. So that's it for security. Historian lobby update. Michelle was going to get started last weekend, on the painting. I'm sure you all saw the two-tone paint. The fact that the floor has been redone there as well. But Steve was redoing the floor last weekend, so nobody could walk on it. So she couldn't get in and do her thing. So it's her plan to do that this weekend, to get started on that. So that's really gonna look good when it's done. I think it looks good now with the period colors that are there. She has selected a company. My neighbor just passed away.
For the honor flags or?
Huh?
For the honor flags?
No. Oh, Melissa Hannah.
She has selected a company. I don't know for
Oh,
what.
no, I'm sorry. You heard you did hear my mumbling, which nobody needs to hear. Okay, so this company charges $100 for each one of the veterans banners. And they're the 3 to 5 year banners, as opposed to the 1 year banners. So this company is cheaper. They have a $750 setup fee where you decide on the design of the banner, or what, font, yada, yada. And then the brackets are $50 a pair. And then the actual banner itself is $100. And then one of the nice things about this is the families would work directly with the company. They would send in the DD 214, which shows what your active duty service time is, and that's the time the company would use. They would send the picture to the company. We wouldn't have to get involved in all of that administrative side of things. Just my thought was we'd pay for the setup charges as a town, and then if people would like to have a banner made for their veteran, they would pay the $100. When the banner is no longer usable, they would own the banner because they paid for the banner. So that's what her recommendation is. She thought start with a pilot program, maybe 20 banners. I don't know, what do you guys think?
So the $750 is a one-time charge?
One time.
Just in the $50 for each banner we want to put out.
It's $50 for the hardware.
Right.
For each
banner.
Yeah, and then the banners themselves are $100. So the 50 is a one-time charge until the bracket breaks or something. That's a lot better than the $300 per banner that she was looking at before.
And when the banners are no longer any good, then it would be up to the family to replace them. Is that what you said?
Yeah, well, I mean, her idea was if the family buys the banner initially, then they own the banner when it gets retired. And if they want to pay another $100 or whatever the fee is
For a new one.
for a new one, I'm sorry. But this is open to discussion, what we want to contribute, how we want to roll it out, how we figure out who the first 20 are, or do we just, what are your thoughts?
Does she know of anybody specifically that is looking to do this at this point, or?
Well, it's been brought up before to have, like a lot of the towns do, have these banners.
So for a program of 20, you're looking for 750 plus 1,000, so you're looking for 1,750 from the town
That was my
to kick the program off.
right,
To buy the brackets and the
design.
one-time fee.
And then she would volunteer to administer to the families and get them coordinated with the banner.
And there's gonna be some administration
Anyway,
involved here.
right, I mean, we're gonna, yes, if we get 50 applications, then we're gonna have to figure out which 20, or do we do 50? If they're $100, we would just be buying brackets.
Whether our highway department would
Put up all those.
bucket truck to go put them up.
They put the American flags up, I would be very disappointed if they wouldn't put up veterans banners.
Are they just going in the main street here in Greg?
I don't know why they couldn't go up the hill or wherever we have light poles.
They strung a nice row of flags up in Branningham, and why not hit those same poles?
Yeah.
Is there, if you decide to buy more of those brackets, I mean, I assume we could just do it relatively quickly.
Yeah, I would think so.
I mean, I don't even know if it's 20 too many to start. I mean, I just don't know what the demand is. I don't know, I have no idea.
Well, the four-wheeler club plants 220 some American flags at our cemeteries every Veterans Day, or every Memorial Day. So we know that there is a pool there.
Yeah.
Now, granted, some of them are, very old. They may not have family in the
You
area
have to be
anymore.
dead to be on a banner?
No, you don't have to be dead.
But it's a memorial, right? I mean, I've never looked at any, like going down the street in Lowell and figured that any of them were still living.
There's quite a few.
Some of them are,
Yeah.
yeah, some of them are young, like
Yeah.
fairly recent.
Like Vietnam
service.
War.
Iraq,
Yeah,
It's kind of like a thank you for your service.
you gotta have somebody else drive so you can look at it.
Well, that's always been a concern of mine because I get rubbernecking looking at these things. I wonder if I'm gonna crash, what's gonna happen?
But my wife had the exact same, well, don't they have to be, passed? I go, no, it's not. They don't have to be passed to get on a ban.
As long as they served.
We can, she said that if we made a decision shortly, that they could have banners ready for July 4th.
Great.
That's good.
If we know how many people want banners, then we know how many brackets
To buy.
we need. I mean, I assume we turn around on the brackets, it's gotta be
Yeah.
pretty quick.
They'd almost have to commit pretty,
If they can turn
pretty
those banners
soon.
around, yeah, exactly, they'd have to, I mean, I guess I'm just wondering, do we have to, or not have to, but should we somehow get a notice out there that, hey, we have this banner program and my only concern with buying however many brackets, even if it's just 20 and only 4 people want to do this, and we got 16 brackets that we paid for, maybe 100 people want to do it, I don't have any idea.
Right, I don't either. I mean,
I like the idea, I don't have any issue with it.
of course, Loudon's a lot bigger, but they got, every telephone pole's got a personnel.
Yeah, well, they're in a lot of different towns,
What do you guys
no
think?
question.
You think we'll have 20 people sign up for this pretty quick?
I got 2 already.
You have Steve Whitworth put it in the BCA letter up there.
Yeah.
Framingham
Yeah, that's a
Community
good idea.
Association. That's coming out soon, so.
Is it?
How long does it take to work? I mean, by the 4th of July, it's quick.
Yeah.
I think, because it's not even, we haven't even advertised it. Couldn't you have somebody make up a flyer and like have it at the store and
Yeah, I mean,
soon?
we'd announce it on the unofficial Town of Gregg taxpayers Facebook page, put it on the Branningham.
But not everybody has a computer, so we
Well,
can
no,
do
I
that.
know.
Yeah.
And then like the library here, the store, and that newsletter is a good one. But those, that's put out by computer too, so all those people have.
But it
this.
gets mailed, it gets mailed though.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
When does the golf course start up? That'd probably be a good place to put one too. Oh, yeah, there we go. That'd be a good place to put one too.
The
now.
school's already started this week. School team was there.
Not soon enough.
So it sounds like.
I mean, I'm in favor of the program, I'm just thinking if we need to get these people to come in and then say, we want banners, well, then we could say, hey, 18 people want banners, let's buy 18 or 18 sets of brackets. And so I don't know if we need to
there's a
commit.
minimum. She didn't say whether there's a minimum order or not. She just said 20 brackets were $1,020.
I mean, I have no problem authorizing the 750 and then the brackets as they come in, whatever the demand is. I just don't know if it makes sense to.
I think, doesn't Lowell do it, they have to have a certain number, I think, before they place the next order, and they let the community know that.
Okay.
And like some flags fall down and get lost, somebody takes them, why you would want Uncle Pete's that you haven't, never knew, but they don't turn them back to the families,
Well, I think, so my action will be to talk with Mike and make sure that there's a statement in their contract that says I do what the highway superintendent says. So,
I would think that they would do something like that anyway.
I think they would too, they're good guys.
Yeah.
For sure. I'll get with Michelle. She'll definitely be back by Friday.
If not, I bet the fire department would. I don't think helped them out.
What?
I think Lowell Fire Department at one point was helping.
Yeah, Jordan
Helping
Arthur
to
putting them
what?
up at one point.
Like, so,
They did, they had Jordan Arthur putting them up at one point.
I wouldn't volunteer the fire department to do them.
Okay,
I
so,
wouldn't say that they would do them, that there's,
they would need a good supervisor.
we need more people and more time.
you gotta have some Indians, not just chiefs. And it's not easy with volunteers. You're talking about this best and the possibility of keeping something like that cool, and people don't realize how few people you're gonna have there. That's why they gotta call 30 departments around the area to keep switching off.
So what I heard was, you're okay with the 750 and with buying as many brackets as we need?
Interest.
Okay. And if we have to cut, if we get a request for 250, we may decide we don't have budget for that, all that this year. And we may have to do it over a couple of year period.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta think initially, just getting the word out is gonna be the biggest thing.
Yeah, or unless they're gonna give us a break on,
Quantity break.
Yeah, like 50 or,
Makes more
like
sense
50
by
or more
20, well,
cheaper or
and
something.
even if they weren't ready by 4th of July, it's a new program, it's never been done yet, so.
Gotta have a handout packet for anybody who applies to have a banner made.
I think what'll happen is as soon as you get a few banners up, then people are gonna go,
Why
oh,
not me?
I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
And it'll get.
Nobody told me.
My Uncle Charlie.
Okay, good. I'll let her know. Remember we mentioned, we talked about the fact that at one point in time, Maryland wrote a letter saying that the town was opting out of family medical leave, right? But yet somehow the insurance company didn't hear it, or didn't read it, or whatever. Anyway, they're refunding us $4,100 for premiums that we paid in the past years for that coverage.
Pay your National Grid bill, buy those brackets.
There you go.
One wash, nice.
I like that. Well, but I am concerned, like, I think the floors look great. They needed cleaning desperately, but I bought a bunch of stripper and wax and stuff that I hadn't really thought about when we put the budget together. And, little things like that add up. Mike dropped his cell phone and broke it, so he had to get a new cell phone. So yeah,
Highway department's getting expensive.
he really did. They had,
Contract them out or something.
yeah. That's a
We'll
point.
give you a break on your taxes. Everybody go buy studded snow tires and four-wheel drive, and then we'll just not.
Good luck. I have a thank you note from the Senior Citizens, Salem Water Senior Citizens Club. Can I read that?
Yes, sir.
We budgeted a payment to them, and Bob issued the check, and they sent a thank you note saying to the town of Gregg, we all want to thank you for your donation to the Singing Waters Club. It means a lot. We have had a very busy year. The money has let us pay for meals for some of the seniors at our meal site during the winter. We have had a lovely Christmas dinner for our club. It has helped to send cards for birthdays, deaths, and other times for all the new members. We all appreciate your kindness. Thank you very much, from the treasurer of the Singing Waters Club.
Very nice.
Okay. So remember TextMyGov? They're like, well, we have this program where
They won't take no for an answer.
we'll support you sending out a survey, and we will get you the phone numbers and send out a survey asking if people are interested in this service. Now, as you can see here, we've had 6 subscribers
people, yeah.
to our YouTube channel. And granted, it only went out on the taxpayers Facebook page and the Branningham Lake Facebook page and the town website.
Is that people that are watching now or people total that have?
That's subscribers.
You subscribe to the channel.
Okay.
So if you view it, there's a button there that says, do you wish to subscribe to this
Oh,
channel?
okay. Does,
And
do
those
we
people-
keep track of the people that viewed it or?
So you got 9 views in the
There's
last
only
28 days.
2 thumbs up.
9 people view that meeting.
Now, Tom was one of them because he double checks his notes.
Twice.
Oh, nice. So there's a benefit, right?
I can tell you that my daughter, my granddaughter, and my wife are subscribers.
My son is one.
All right, so having,
So there's even less demand than I would have guessed, and I didn't guess there'd be much.
Yeah, I'm standing on my soapbox, I'm not,
okay,
Yeah.
I'm fine.
I'm with you.
yeah.
I'm bringing it up.
Somebody's got to put a little effort into this if they want to be involved with what's going on.
Superintendent's report, they're sweeping, they're breaking stuff, they're fixing the stuff they're breaking.
Are they gonna clean up the roadsides?
Well, that's after they get the sweeping done, then they gotta come through and do the shoulders.
That'd be nice.
He's already starting to get estimates for paving. We're expecting another $250,000 in CHIPS money.
What was he going to pave again this year?
Well, I think the first additional mile of Partridgeville.
Really?
Um,
I wasn't, I couldn't remember if we could.
no, he was gonna,
He's
that's what he's looking at. Patterson Road, he's doing,
The unpaved, the end down there.
yeah, and then there's,
Oh, he was going to do that Salzburg Road, or that little short.
yeah, there's another short one that
He's
he's gonna,
gonna do 2 ends of Abbey Road.
right, that's right. Yeah, that's what-
That's our one, so he is going to do part of Partridge Road.
But some of those he wasn't gonna do if he optionally did the Partridgeville Road, so.
Yeah, yeah.
He's flush with money. I think when we get to 250,000, we'll have like 450,000 in CHIPS money in the bank. Not our bank, but in the virtual bank that the state has. Okay, so that's his report, clerk's report.
I mailed it out. If anybody has any comments?
I have none. Move to accept the clerk's report as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. I'd like to make a motion to go into an executive session to discuss a personnel performance issue and a legal issue.
Oh, boy. I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
I
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all for coming.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
See you.
Well, I have a question, but I don't, it's executive.
Trying to figure out how far a mile is out Partridge Road.
Hi, Dan. I think that would take you down to Crooked Creek, or isn't it?
He was there,
So,
and I know.
Where the horse trail goes.
But-
yeah, or crosses the creek.
And it's not really
That far.
right. And he's.
Maybe you go a little farther than that. Might get up around that bend.
Nobody else cares.
Hey, I read something over there.
Right.
Winter, we had snow on it, they were plowing it.
But I went to.
I know, I rode out there and that, and it was
Goodbye, now I'm leaving.
like almost like a paved road. And I went out there about 3 weeks
On a
ago.
sort of slow,
Yeah.
that would be.
Pretty rough shape, but that's a temporary.
Yeah, there's a course you
Certain
can take, it's
season.
not, there's no
I'm telling you
requirements
that
for it.
it
I don't know
was,
if you need a high
it
school.
was slick.
But it's.
The stuff that was on the top was like limestone dust. It was a little bit wet.
But there's a,
Okay.
there's a test, yeah.
I get up to Kansas.
Yeah, I knew there
and
was
the
a test, but I
complete
didn't
side of
know
my
if you had,
truck
like, take a course
was just
in order to be
white.
eligible for the test,
I'm not sure if
or
you
if
do.
you just did like a study guide.